Absolutely. Joining us on the phone now, former Congressman JC Watts, ran for Congress in Oklahoma in 1994, served until he retired following 2003. Excellent record in the U.S. House of Representatives. And do I still call you Congressman, Mr. Watts? I'm reading up on your record. Man, you had a battle your 10 years in Congress.
Well, guys, my mother named me JC or Julius Caesar, so that always works. And I trust me, I've been called worse than congressman before, so I usually answer anything.
You weren't an attorney,
JC
were you?
Always works.
Yeah, when you have a name like Julius Caesar, I'm surprised you went near any building that had the word Senate on it.
Well, as a matter of fact, it was about the 8th grade before I learned how to spell it. That's why I went by JC. So,
Keep it simple then, huh?
Well, that's right. Keep it simple.
Now, during your time in the Congress, though, you actually became a leader in the Republican Party in many rights. You gave the Republican response to Bill Clinton's State of the Union in 1997, and you really battled to influence the message of the Republican Party. With that background, looking at the Republican Party today, what's your review of how things are going?
Well, guys, I talk about in Dig Deep, the new book, that I've been in ministry full time. I've been in politics at the highest level, athletics at the highest level. I've run my own business. I've been on some corporate boards of some fine, outstanding companies, and there's one common thread in every one of those arenas, and it's the cheer the crowd. And the cheer the crowd is more seductive and more intoxicating in politics than in any arena I've ever participated in. And I do think that over the last, 6, 7, 8 years, I think the Republicans have lost a lot of their brand. When you think when you see yellow arches, you think McDonald's. You see red roofs, you think Pizza Hut. And when you heard Republican or conservative, you used to think a certain thing, lower taxes, smaller government. But, over the last 8, 10 years, the budget has grown under Republicans as much as it has Democrats. And today, that's on the economic side. The debt has gone up on Republicans' watch as well, to where we're over $19 trillion. And guys, that's not counting what we owe Social Security, what we owe in Medicare Part B. So that $19 trillion debt is probably more like, you can probably double that. So it's hard. And then on the social side of things, we've got, a guy that's about to be the nominee, and regardless of what one thinks about the social issues, we've got a guy that's about to be the nominee that's, pro-choice, pro-partial birth abortion. He thinks that Planned Parenthood is pretty good in spite of the fact that they sold baby parts. So what is our brand? How much better are we than the other side? And that's the challenging question for all of us.
You mentioned the seductive power of the cheer of the crowd as it comes to politics. I read where you're a Baptist minister, I'm a Baptist minister. The cheer of the crowd also seductive in ministry as well, because you can be tempted to drift from the message of the Bible to just preaching the message that people want to hear. And you have to be true to your core convictions. Your book, Dig Deep, 7 Truths to Finding the Strength Within. What are some of the tips you give to finding your core convictions and then sticking to it?
Well, I obviously, guys, are 7 principles, and one of them that I talk about is dealing with adversities. When I was first elected to state government in 1991, there was an investigation going on in the agency that I was elected to that I kind of got pulled into, in spite of the fact that I had nothing to do with it. And I remember one day looking in the camera and saying to the people of Oklahoma, I said, I don't know what's going on with this investigation. I will fully cooperate, And from a perspective of faith, I said this, and I will wait the results in peace. And I had one of my fellow commissioners that kind of drew myself and other commissioner into the silliness, and it was a brutal time. And I was a youth pastor at the time, so going to meet those kids every Wednesday night and Sunday and during the week when my name was the one being mentioned on TV and radio 3 or 4 times a week. But I was serious when I said I would wait the results in peace. And dealing with adversity means that, I look back on that time and I don't look at what it did to me. I look at what that time did for me. It grew me in my faith. And of course, faith is a lot like a muscle, or it is like a muscle. The more you exercise that muscle, the bigger it's going to get, the stronger it's going to be. And it's the same way in our faith. The more we exercise our faith, the more we use it, the stronger it will get. And of course, in football and athletics and politics and business and even as a youth pastor, I've had many circumstances and opportunities to exercise my faith. And it really has, in spite of my dysfunctions, helped me to do life better.
Watching your career from a distance, being down here in Texas, watching your career as a congressman and your bids for election and re-election, your Democratic opponents, threw everything in the book that they could at you. They attacked your character in some of the worst ways possible. But what impressed me about your performance was you were able to continue to operate from a position of strength. You never relegated yourself back to, oh, look at what they're doing to me. How was it that you were able to continue in that position of strength and not fall into the category of being a victim?
Well, and guys, in Dig Deep, I talk about, several things, and a couple of them, I talk about, not drinking from the cup of victimhood. You guys have done it. I've done it. We all have done it. And we've done it in our lives because it tastes so good to drink from the cup of victimhood. But I think it's important for us to understand that at some point we can't continue to look externally at why we're having challenges in our lives. When we look internally, that's when I think we grow the real strength and we get rid of the superficial excuses on why we don't get there, or woe is me, or it's it's his fault or it's her fault. And 2 other things I mentioned is laughter and humility. There's 2 guys that I mentioned in the book, Bush 41, George Bush 41, and Billy Graham. I've had opportunities to spend time with both of those guys, and I'm telling you, the humility from those 2 men. If you wouldn't have known that Billy Graham was Billy Graham, someone that had influenced 7, 8 generations of Americans, or if you didn't know that George Herbert Walker Bush was the president or had been the president of the United States, the leader of the free world, you never would have known it. I mean, there was a sincere, genuine humility that I think we all could learn from. And the other thing is, we have to laugh. The book of Proverbs says that laughter is good for the soul. America, in so many instances, seems angry, and you watch the current affairs shows, you never see people's teeth because they never smile. Well, laughter is good for us, and it strengthens our resolve. And again, that's what Dig Deep is all about. It's about, some people call it grit. In athletics, we used to call it grit, but Dig Deep is just lunging into the circumstances of our lives to dig deep and fight another day, to fight through the bad business deal, fight through the challenges that you might have in your marriage, fight through the challenge of losing a child, which no parent wants to do. And I've seen it strengthen marriages, and I've also seen it, create family chaos. And it's not easy to deal with it. But life can be messy. Life is going to happen. Life sometimes is hard. But there is a way that we can dig deep and work through those things and be better at the end of the day.
Former Congressman JC Watts on the program with us this morning. We're honored to have him on. His brand new book out called Dig Deep, 7 Truths to Finding the Strength Within. One of the other things, we got about 2.5 minutes. Let me get you to tell us where we can get the book first and follow your work a little more closely.
The book, you can get it at Costco, Amazon. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. And if Brownwood, Texas is a long way from Oklahoma, but even at Mardell's bookstore in Oklahoma City, and hopefully soon to be in Walmart.
All right, good stuff. Well, you talk, and again, almost out of time here, but 2 minutes left. You talk about also in the book that sometimes the things that you unlearn can be as important as what you actually learn. How so?
Well, we grow up hanging on to traditions, and I have no problems with traditions. Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving, and just the things we do with family. Those family traditions are pretty special. But traditions also can hinder us in terms of how we worship. I grew up a Baptist. I'm an ordained, got ordained in the Baptist church. And, my wife and I had gone through some challenging times in our lives. And at the end of the day, the Lord so moved in our lives that I'm telling you, I was grateful. And I remember one Sunday in church, I was so grateful that I raised my hands in praise to God, and it just kind of it felt kind of weird. I'm a Baptist kid. Baptists we don't do that kind of stuff. That's kind of seen as charismatic. And I thought, if I'm here to worship God, I don't care what other people think.
Yeah.
If I want to raise my hands in praise, I don't care if they think I'm crazy. Man, God's been so good to me. Today. Man, I get jiggy with it. I know how to moonwalk, and
That's great.
But those traditions they hinder us, and I think traditions in and of themselves, obviously, they're not good. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're not bad, but when they hinder us from growing,
get too wrapped
then
up.
I think we have to challenge them.
It has been an absolute honor to have you on the program this morning. We certainly do appreciate your time, sir.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me on.
All right, have a great day. Thank you. 8:27 right now. Boy, former Congressman JC Watts. Here's the Osgood Files for you on News Talk 102.3.
The Osgood File, sponsored in part by Nuveen Investments.